Forget the clean, one shot, one kill myth. Normandy was mud in the Bolt Raceway, sweat under a helmet net, and hedgerows that let you see 10 yards then nothing. British snipers weren't lone wolves. They were trained, issued kit, and still forced to bend rules when the terrain didn't care about doctrine. Some tools helped them disappear. Others got them spotted, misidentified, or pinned in place. Today we're counting down the 7 forgotten British sniper tools that defined Normandy warfare. Number 7. Number 4. Sniper rifle system. A standard rifle turned sniper specialist. The army didn't want special for its own sake. The number 4 rifle was the baseline, with standard zeroing practices and strict rules about altering sights and bedding. A sniper rifle had to be a controlled exception selected for accuracy, fitted with a bracket-mounted telescope, and kept as a matched system. Not a hobby project. In Normandy, that system mattered because the fight was often short-range and sudden. The number 4 gave you a clearer sight picture through foliage gaps and across narrow lanes, and the smooth Lee-Enfield action let you stay on target and run the bolt fast. But it demanded care. The scope and bracket could lose 0 if they were knocked, and the rifle didn't like casual swapping of parts. Snipers and their spotters treated it like a precision instrument, even when they were moving through orchards and smashed villages. Used well, it let a man in a slit trench pick off an observer or machine gun number without exposing the section. Used carelessly, a bumped telescope could put shots inches off enough to miss, and enough to draw every rifle in the hedgerow back onto your hide. Number 6. Camouflage suits and veils. Blending in to stand out. Officially, British field dress was about recognition and discipline. Webbing sat where it was supposed to. Faces weren't meant to be hidden on a busy battlefield where control depended on quick identification, especially once units were intermingled in the bocage. Then Normandy forced the issue. Snipers used camouflage veils, netting, and improvised coverings to kill the human outline hands, cheeks, and the pale oval of a face under a helmet. In hedgerows, even a good position could be betrayed by a flash of skin when you turned to breathe or whispered to your spotter. Veils also cut down insects and dust, letting you stay still longer. That stillness was the real weapon. But concealment had a price. In close country, a veiled figure moving alone could be mistaken for the wrong man at the wrong time, especially during confused advances behind a barrage. There are documented Allied fratricide problems in Normandy generally when silhouettes didn't match expectations. The suit that saved you from an enemy observer could also get you challenged, delayed, or fired on by your own side if you appeared where no one expected a sniper to be. Number 5. Sniper loophole plates. Armor for unseen warfare. British doctrine valued cover, but it also warned about creating obvious firing points. A tidy loophole in a wall could become an aiming mark. And occupying civilian buildings came with orders about preventing unnecessary destruction on paper, at least. Loophole plates were a blunt answer to a specific fear. A bullet through the wall the moment you fired. In Normandy's villages, stone farmhouses, barns, and garden walls, snipers and supporting infantry sometimes used metal plates or reinforced loopholes to give a protected aperture. The point wasn't comfort. It was to keep your head and telescope behind something that could stop splinters and, in some cases, small arms fire. When it worked, it let a sniper hold a lane longer, forcing enemy movement to slow or detour. When it failed loudly. A plate could ring when struck, advertising the exact spot, and a fixed loophole locked you into one angle. Once the enemy bracketed the window with MG fire or a mortar, the same protection could trap you inside a kill box you couldn't exit without being seen. Number 4. Field-made ghillie garnish. Improvised invisibility. Regulations liked tidy kit because tidy kit could be inspected, replaced, and standardized. Extra cloth tied to webbing, rifle, or helmet wasn't just untidy. It could snag, catch fire, or interfere with the weapon. The official solution was limited: nets, scrim, and careful use of natural cover. In the bocage, snipers pushed past that. They added field-made garnish strips of burlap, hessian, cloth tape, and vegetation woven into netting, helmet covers, and sometimes the rifle itself. The goal wasn't to look like a bush. It was to break the straight lines that the eye catches first: shoulders, barrel, and the hard circle of a helmet. They refreshed greenery constantly because dead leaves darken, wilt, and become a sign in themselves. Now the trade-off: garnish could turn movement into noise. Dry material rasped on webbing. Leaves snagged on wire and brambles. And if you overbuilt it, you carried your concealment like a badge, dragging a visible trail or shaking a hedge at exactly the wrong moment. If you had to pick, would you rather be slightly easier to spot, or slightly slower to move when the position gets compromised? Before we move on, what matters more in Normandy's hedgerows? A rifle system that holds zero, or camouflage that keeps you from being seen at all? Drop your pick below, and subscribe if you want the non-myth version, because the next tools get even more technical and riskier. Number 3. Flash hiders and scope anti-reflection measures. Every shot had a signature. Officially, British small arms doctrine didn't treat flash management like a personal craft project. Rifles weren't issued with suppressors, and the number 32 telescope was meant to be used as built. Field alterations that could affect reliability or zero were discouraged, and anything shiny on kit was supposed to be dulled, taped, or covered. Normandy punished anyone who ignored that last part. A scope bell catching a slice of sun could act like a signal lamp across a lane. So snipers improvised. They blackened metal with soot or paint, wrapped tape around bright edges, and shaded the objective lens with makeshift extensions: rubber, canvas, even cut down tubes, anything that reduced glint without touching the glass. Some units also experimented with flash hiders or crude muzzle shading, not for silence, but to keep that brief bloom from pointing straight back to a hedge. When it worked, you could fire and stay unlocated long enough to work a second target. When it didn't, tape came loose, charred, or shifted, and a fix could foul the sight picture or snag on vegetation just in time for the enemy to trace the shot by sound and movement anyway. Number 2. Compact observation aids. Seeing without shooting. British snipers weren't supposed to fight alone. Doctrine paired the shooter with a spotter, and observation was a job with its own tools: issue binoculars, prismatic compasses, map boards, and reporting drills. The aim was controlled information: range, direction, target description, then fire. In the bow cage, big binoculars were often too much. Too bulky. Too obvious. So men leaned on compact aids, small binos, monoculars, and whatever could be carried flat and brought up fast. They watched through keyholes in hedges and broken masonry, keeping their rifle down until they had certainty: movement pattern, helmet shape, the way a man carried a weapon. Sometimes they used mirrors or periscopic peeks from behind cover, because lifting your head even once could be the last mistake of the day. Used well, it prevented wasted shots and kept a hide from being educated by a miss. Used poorly, it created its own tell glass moving in a dark gap, or a lens flare that drew fire before the rifle ever came up. Number 1. Scrim helmeting. The smallest silhouette tells the biggest truth. The helmet was supposed to be a standard, recognizable shape. The MKI's job was protection, not concealment, and units relied on quick visual identification in close fighting. Officially, you had nets and a basic expectation: don't add junk that catches, falls off, or interferes with your hearing and straps. In Normandy, that smooth dome was a problem. The helmet is what the eye finds first: high, round, and wrong against hedges full of broken lines. So snipers scrimmed it. Not just a net, but texture. Strips of hessian, cloth tape, bandage, sometimes tied into the net and sometimes directly to the rim. Then vegetation, changed constantly. The trick wasn't making a perfect bush. It was making the helmet stop being a helmet at 10 yards. It bought time. Seconds where a German rifleman hesitated because the shape didn't resolve into man. But scrim also snagged on branches, dragged when you crawled, and in rain it got heavy and dark. In at least some cases it encouraged overconfidence, staying too long in a hide because you felt invisible, right up until a mortar crew started working the hedge by routine. Look at the pattern. The army issued standards because standards can be trained, inspected, and supplied. Normandy rewarded something else: tiny, unapproved adaptations made by men who had to live inside the consequences. Sometimes the tweak bought another hour of observation. Sometimes it drew the one burst that found you anyway. If you want World War II history without simplification or mythology, subscribe to Brass and Blitz. We'll keep following the tools, the doctrine, and the decisions right down at ground level.